The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. You're welcome to Leadership Podcast, and of course, it is another edition of The Big Issue. Well, without taking much of your time, we are going to into the big issue of the day, which is the annual budget. And FG's 2,178 naira for treatment of each Nigerian. With me here in the studio, our in-house analyst, we have Paul Agbo and Sunday Isua. Together, we are going to interrogate this very, very important issue of consistent low budgetary allocation to the health sector by the federal government, which has contributed greatly to the challenges faced by that sector. And unless this is reversed by prioritizing the health, the country may not be able to bridge the gaps created in the sector. Despite the importance of health, investigation revealed that the Federal Ministry of Health received the sum of about 1,385 billion or trillion in the last 3 years. And a breakdown of the budget in the past 3 years shows that 6,534 naira was budgeted for each citizen, indicating 2,178 naira per citizen in a year, based on the 2021 proposed population of the country. And only 4 to 5% of the country's total budget is allocated to the health sector annually, against the Abuja declaration of 15% allocation to that sector in 2001. In 2001, heads of state of African Union countries met in Abuja and committed to prioritizing the health sector by allocating at least 15% of their annual budget to the health sector. 20 years after that commitment, which Nigeria was part of, countries like Rwanda, countries like Ethiopia, Malawi, and Swaziland, and Togo, and the Central African Republic have since met this target. Nigeria has not been able to allocate half of the expected 15% in these 20 years. And of course, we come now to the budget 2022, which is the current budget. In the health sector, payment of workers' salaries, training of staff, cost of running offices, and related matters will consume 73% of the budget proposed for health by the Nigerian government in the 2022 fiscal year. This has left most Nigerians wondering, with the challenges in the health sector, 73% for overhead costs and personnel costs. Paul, what kind of budgetary allocation is that?
It's a budget for payment of salaries, overhead, personnel costs, not budget for improvement of the quality.
That is absorbed.
Yes, the quality of healthcare, healthcare services, healthcare delivery to Nigerians is a growing trend, George. It's a growing trend. Let me also let you know that the education budget of Ghana is more than about 3 or 4 ministries combined in Nigeria. A small country of less than 30 million, with a smaller GDP, less than that of Lagos State, because Lagos is considered as the 5th largest economy in Africa. And Nigeria is the largest economy in terms of GDP in the whole of Africa. And we are spending 2,178 naira per each Nigerian. And most of this has to do with those overhead. overhead personnel costs. Because when you are spending 73% for salaries and other personnel matters, that means you are spending 73% on governance. So 27% for capital. That is why, if you recall, last year there was an editorial on the state of the MOC, an editorial by leadership on the state of the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital MOC. I remember I called one of the doctors here, and he said he does not even like going near that MOC because the state of that MOC is terrible. And that speaks to you on how the health sector has been managed by successful government. I'm not going to accuse the present administration. It's a trend that has been with us since 1999. So that is not a state, that is not a country that want to grow. And that is why you see common illness such as malaria, things that has been eradicated in many climes around the world. You see the major killer in Nigeria. Typhoid is a problem. Cholera is a problem. We don't have the technical know-how. We don't even have the equipment. We are not investing in infrastructure, especially in the health sector. We are not investing in infrastructure. Because if you go to most of our public healthcare facilities, it's just a mess. You don't need to go far. Just walking into one of the general hospitals around the FCT. That's the FCT where things are a bit okay. And George, let me also tell, we shouldn't forget that cities have expanded. And yet, in 30, 40 years, some cities that have grown more than 50% of its population size in 1980 are operating with just one general hospital. Example, Suleja. Suleja has only one general hospital built over 25 years ago. Even the only surviving general hospital, if you go there, it's just a shambles of itself. So it tells us how we approach infrastructure. And that is why those who have, run abroad. I wouldn't want to mention them here, but a lot of people travel abroad.
The senator representing Bruno South,
Yes.
Alin Dume,
Yes.
he raised the alarm over the rising recurrent expenditure in the country.
Alin Dume.
Yes, he lamented the huge amount being paid to personnel and overhead costs.
And yet, no new recruitment. People are retiring.
The current government, the Buhari administration placed embargo on employment.
The chairman of the Senator Shefero from Kano lamented that the top is heavy. We are top heavy. We pay big directors, permanent secretary, this, that, all the monies. So it means that, George, we borrow to pay salaries. Are you telling me that we borrow to only take care of 28% or 27% infrastructure in the health sector, as well as other sectors?
The rest will
because overall budget, about 72% goes into servicing government. That's overhead personnel costs.
And this is the administration that, as soon as President Muhammadu Buhari assumed office in 2015, the first thing he said was to cut cost of governance.
And you can see why the health sector is a volatile sector. Every now and then, strike.
This issue of saying that they place embargo on employment, even the senators, even people in the presidency, they know that they are just deceiving themselves. It's the same people that they have been giving slots of employment. We know organizations that take or recruit people. They are not new establishment. They recruit agencies that recruit even 150 people within a week. And you are telling us you place embargo on employment. We know what happened in FIRS. We know what is happening in CBN. There is no week that there is no employment in CBN. It's about who knows who. So who are you deceiving that you have placed embargo on employment? It's just that it's about who you know, and it has been on issue of family and friends, and that is why all this budget that they have been budgeting, I don't think we are sincere to ourselves.
Yeah.
Because if we are sincere to ourselves, we want to grow.
Yes.
You don't need a bogus budget that you will not even implement. It's not about saying they even earmark 2,178 naira to treat a citizen. Will they release that money? They will not release it because the budget have never been implemented 100%. It's not about earmarking the money, it's about the releases. They release money to pay salaries, exactly what you people have said. And it's exactly what is happening. What about project? Areas where we should generate revenue, what are they doing there? Could you imagine a government agency that was established purely to serve as a consultancy firm to all the construction companies in Nigeria, having a budget of around 140 billion, but that government agency was only able to generate 18 million naira in 2021 as we speak. And this is a government agency that was created to generate money, serve as consultant. All these contractors, you serve as their consultants. You know, you can even build roads and they will pay you, but your budget that you are collecting from government is in billions, but you cannot raise 20 million naira as revenue.
It's what, like, we are one that is close to the National Assembly. Imagine for an annual budget in the health sector, out of what has been budgeted, the payment of worker salaries, training of staff, cost of running offices alone will go up 73% of that budget, leaving 27% for other things like infrastructure and the building of more health facilities. And the National Assembly, even though it's an executive bill that's presented to them, I think the National Assembly is supposed to legislate on the appropriation bill.
Yeah.
And it is in a position to tell government, no, this is too much and that is too much.
You don't even need to tell the government. You just need to cut here,
So
fix here, cut here, fix there.
why is it that the National Assembly is not living up to its bill as representatives of the people?
You know, the problem with democracy has its own challenges. And the kind of democracy we practice, people tend to like behave like psychopaths. They want to impress people at certain offices, even when those people are doing the wrong thing. You know, because there is no way they bring in a budget of about 16 point something trillion, you know, and in that budget there are priority areas. Those priority areas have been neglected. It's just to pay in salaries, allowances, and all that. And you know why that is happening? The same budget a ministry bring this year, they will just go the same items that were in that budget. They will still bring the same items and add more money.
And that is where you begin to see a situation where every year about 700 and something million naira will be allocated to buy for photocopy.
Yes.
There's always
And they will keep increasing it.
There's
And
always
let me rest.
They buy these photocopiers
Every year.
and every year.
It's the same photocopy you will see for the last 5 years that you will see in that
In
office.
ministry alone, I can
You understand?
one ministry I cannot remember 700 and something million for photocopy.
For the past 5 years, or for the past 10 years, you will see the same item, you know, coming in every year. And if eventually those monies are released, they went to the wrong hands. And Mr. Paul was raising an issue that is not an issue of this government. Remember that this government promised Nigerians in 2015 of change. And after that change, they promised next level. You understand? And I'm referring to the health sector. The wife of the president went to the Aso Road clinic and found out that they don't even have a paracetamol. A clinic that billions were budgeted to that
Billions are being budgeted
every year. You understand? And they don't. So, and because that clinic is in the presidency, releases are made as at when due, where is the money going into?
Well, Paul,
Yeah.
only 4 to 5%
Mm.
of the country's annual budget is allocated to the health sector. Whereas in 2001, heads of state of African Union countries converged on Abuja and came out with a declaration where they all agree that the AU countries should show more commitment to the health sector by making sure that in their budget they are going to earmark 15%
Yes.
to the health sector.
Some African countries
Yes.
are doing.
See
are
countries like Central African Republic,
Yes.
Togo, and
Ethiopia,
they have
yes.
all met this, but Nigeria is still lagging behind. But this is a country
It's
that
because
prides itself
Yes.
as the giant of Africa.
we are no longer giants of Africa. We are always jokers. We are jokers, and that is why if you go to many African countries, they don't respect us. We don't get that. They don't accord us that recognition as a giant of Africa because we fail to manage ourselves and to show that look, we mean business in everything we do. You budget only 4%, whereas you are not even budgeting 15 instead of 7.5. That's half of the 15%. Every year, doctors are back on strike, health workers are on rampage. Nurses were back on strike, joint health workers, resident doctors, consultants, everybody is threatening strike because they always abuse their reason to poor infrastructure, this and that, salary, allowance, arrears. In this country, doctors are being owed. It's very abnormal. Doctors are being owed.
Well,
I think there's need for government to streamline its priority as it matters, but it affects the Nigerian people. So that major sectors can benefit.
That idea you spoke of doctors being old is a very. I've just been able to see one salary.
It's abnormal.
But before we come back, before we even go to that point I've just discovered, we'll quickly take a short break. And before we do that, we urge you, our viewer, to contribute to the big issue by your way of comment in order to shape the conversation on the big issue of the day. We'll be back in a moment.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We are still on the big issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is the annual budget and FG's 2,178 naira for treatment of each Nigerian. Paul, you stated something. We talked about the strikes by doctors.
Yeah.
Now look at in the 2022 budget, the very budget that is undergoing legislation presently at the National Assembly, 73% has been earmarked for payment of salary, running of offices,
Overheads.
overheads, and the rest. And then always the doctors will go on strike
Not only
that
the
they are not
doctors,
being paid salary.
not only the doctors, the joint health workers, the overall workforce in the health sector keep on threatening government
So what is actually wrong?
because of one issue or the other. The problem is that there is too many carryovers.
Because this wait, sorry to cut you short. The same government claims to be fighting corruption, and then at the end of the day, even the huge sums of money allocated for
It's not enough.
is still not enough.
Generally,
And doctors
I think
keep proceeding on strike.
government had upped the budget for the health sector, take for instance, 10% of what the African Union leaders agreed. 10%. Federal government would have been able to tackle some of the issues. Now the Nigerian government is not budgeting enough for the health sector. We are not even talking about the critical infrastructure because most of our health sector, healthcare centers are just mere consulting clinic. You will not see any improvement, especially the district hospital, the general hospital, how do you call it, teaching hospitals. They are in shambles. No new technology, state-of-the-art equipment. And that is why big time personalities fly abroad, beginning from the president, with due respect to him. He's always going abroad for medical checks. If the president goes to the national hospital or Wuse General Hospital here, just like his counterpart in the UK who goes to a public hospital, I think there will be a lot more improvement. Critical sector as health, education, agriculture, and security should not be played with. We are spending it, and that thing again, George, we spend money on things that are not relevant to us. One example, nuclear regulatory agency. Why not a nuclear energy? What is our ambition? Are we spending money on nuclear energy? What is our ambition? We want to develop nuclear. There are certain you can collapse that and push that agency to under the care of the National Office of National Security Advisor. We spend money unnecessarily. We need to streamline, and that is why this original report remains very, very important. But no government has muzzled up courage to implement it. So that health sectors can get more, education can get more, agriculture can get more, security can get even more. We're not investing on infrastructure, especially in the health sector. I mentioned a city where for over 25 to 30 years, only one general hospital, and the population keep on increasing. Go there and see. You will pity Nigerians. Shortage of doctor, shortage of virtually everything. You cannot have an emergency and you rush to some general hospital in Nigeria. So 73%, yes, recurrent expenditure, but how much? And that is why it will stop the doctor strike. It will stop the health workers' threat because the money is not enough. If we budget, if we increase, if we up it, then we'll be able to tackle some of those things and avoid the unnecessary strike. But some of these strikes, as a result of agreements reached 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that have not been implemented. So by the time they put all those things together, it becomes huge and difficult for government to meet.
Well, Isua, you see, the current National Assembly, the 19th National Assembly, has always been said to be a rubber stamp of the federal government. And most Nigerians have insisted that it is so. Because it is only a microscopic few of them that will always speak out. I think if all the lawmakers at the National Assembly would speak like Ndume, what Ndume said, Ndume is threatening that he will relocate from Nigeria if nothing is being done about this rising recurrent expenditure, overhead cost, personnel cost. And the National Assembly will always hold the line of the executive by appropriating exactly what they put before them. At least the National Assembly would have said, okay, we'll part this budget, tell the government that no, this is too much, that is too much. Why is it that the current National Assembly is finding it difficult?
The issue in Nigeria is that we don't always want competent people to be in a position of leadership. If you remember, Ndume was actually vying for that office of the Senate President. And at the end of the day, before you know it, the leadership of the APC, led by Adam Soshomole, now carry Ahmad Lawan and Femi Bajabiamila, took them to the
Join
villa,
them together.
tell Buhari that these are the two people the party have decided that they should be in position of leadership. And you keep wondering, the president, who is the leader of the party, is not even aware when the party decided, but they are just bringing two people to him. That is by the way. Now, the present National Assembly, if you remember, Ahmed Lawan, the president, have said that he is ready to work, or that they are ready to work with the executive harmoniously. That even if it means that they call them rubber stamp because of the cordial relationship
So be it.
they will enjoy with the executive, so be it. But I think he's missing a point. A cordial relationship should mean that Nigerians get the benefit. Because in a cordial relationship, there is mutual respect. You understand? Okay, somebody is respecting you, and you said, sir, this is how we should do this. This is how we should do it so that Nigerians can benefit. That is how a cordial relationship, can
Supposed to be.
so that Nigerians will benefit out of it. But you see situation whereby they feel that, okay, this is our party. We need to protect the interest of our party beyond the interest of the Nigerian poor. You see, such thinking is detrimental to the growth of the country. So I think that the leadership of the National Assembly must think twice. I'm not saying they should start a fight with the executive. No. In atmosphere of peace, people are supposed to enjoy. So if you have peace, you are enjoying a cordial relationship with with the executive, just like Buhari also said during his budget presentation that he has been enjoying a cordial relationship with the executive. Then areas of priority should be prioritized, so that Nigerians will benefit. But in a situation whereby you are just talking about a cordial relationship, maybe, okay, if you want a supplementary budget, they will quickly sign it without even checking or investigating that supplementary budget, where it's going into. The last supplementary budget they signed, it was supposed to tackle issue of health and security. But at the end of the day, we saw some security agencies budgeting hundreds of millions to monitor WhatsApp, to monitor social media. These are the areas of priorities. And at the end of the day, people are killed, even railway is being attacked where people think that it is safe. We have deviated from our core issues, going into issues that have been there and we are unable to tackle them. So I think the National Assembly and its leadership should think twice. And also political parties should begin to campaign with ideology and bring up or fill in candidates that they know that they can be able to deliver quality leadership. We are not talking about people who can deliver, no. People who can deliver quality leadership to Nigerians. Because it's not about you sitting on a chair and speaking grammar. It's about people feeling the effect. So honestly, there is cordial relationship between the executive and the legislators, but the common man have not been enjoying that cordial relationship. That is
Because
to say,
the cordial relationship should be such that will benefit the common man.
yes, because there is no way you will tell me that we don't even have hospitals. Like he was saying in Suleja, one general hospital, and the population of Suleja In Nyanya, one general hospital, you know the population of Nyanya.
Yeah.
In Karo, one general hospital, you know the population of Karo. If you go to some other places, you will see population everywhere. They don't even have health facilities. And that is why you see sicknesses that are not even supposed to be mentioned keep sprawling, killing people on a daily basis.
Thank you very much. That even brings me to this situation. Let's look at it now. After you're marking 73% for personnel costs and overhead, leaving 27% for capital. And then at the end of the day, for capital or infrastructure, or just like leadership, newspaper will now break it down to say 2,178 naira to treat each Nigerian. Now,
Which
Nigeria,
cannot treat
of course,
malaria.
Nigeria is an emerging economy.
Yes.
A disease of lifestyle like high BP, cancer, diabetes, obesity are always there.
Yes.
So are we saying that this kind of money, 2,178 naira, can treat such diseases? Just like Isua is talking of even malaria.
If I want to treat malaria now, the least I will spend is 5,000 naira. The least. So if I want to treat malaria and typhoid with the high cost of drugs now, I will spend no less than 8,000 naira. That is when, if the symptom is mild.
That is why you see millions keep on dying.
You know.
Preventable
Yes, because
diseases in Nigeria.
these preventable diseases, once they keep accumulating, they keep increasing, expanding. They begin to affect your body.
Even the
diagnose
existing
them.
infrastructure are
Not there.
are not there and in bad shape.
And it is even the reason why even sometimes you see foundations by first ladies in states and the rest will always come, trying as much as possible to provide cancer centers where they can do screening.
And that is why
Because the government of the
talk
day
about
can-
the doctors running away from Nigeria.
Of course.
The situation is like this. You can't work in an
When
environment that is not conducive.
when our GDP is just growing at 10%, small African countries, they are growing by the day. With our huge population, we can't increase our revenue. We can't tackle all these issues. It's worrisome.
Well, okay, that is all we can take for the big issue of the day. And of course, I will thank you, our listener, for keeping tab with us out there. And of course, our in-house analysts, Paul and Sunday. It was a good time here. Join us next week, Monday, same time, for another edition of The Big Issue. Have a very wonderful weekend.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.